Welcome to What Am I Looking At, a podcast from the Department of Art and Design at Arkansas State University. My name is Dr. Catherine Baker, and I'm a professor specializing in the history of medieval and early modern art. Throughout this series, each presenter will be giving you insight into works of art from across history that are in some way unusual, sometimes strange, sometimes hard to understand. So let's get to today's dive into the visual world on your radio. A Book of Hours is a religious text meant for personal devotion and made up of biblical excerpts, prayers, and psalms. Gaining popularity in the 13th century, Paris eventually became one of the hotspots for the production of these books, particularly with the rise of the printing press in the 15th century. With hundreds of different editions in some years, many of the Parisian Hours opened with a rather strange image. Typically located directly after the title page, the composition features a man, depicted from head to foot, not only lacking in clothing, but also opened up from sternum to pelvis, as if his torso had been unzipped. Inside is a depiction of organs, sometimes recognizable as hearts, stomachs, and lungs, and other times just balloon-like blobs. In a printed Parisian Hours from 1547, owned by the Special Collections Library at the University of Sydney, the background towards the bottom of the man's open trunk features squiggly vertical lines, which one assumes is meant to represent his intestines. Off of this somewhat amorphous representation of our gastrointestinal tract is a tether attached to a banderole with text. Similar leashes spring from other parts of the body out to a ring of unfurling scrolls. The head, for example, leads downward towards the word luna, and the end of this term's banner points at a circular space filled with an image of a crescent moon. Each of the 18 words around the nude man are, in fact, attached to images, 12 representations of astrological signs, 5 planets, and the sun and moon. An utterly bizarre composition for the modern viewer, this is a representation of the famous Zodiac Man. A construct as old as the ancient Greeks, this medically adjacent map of the body was used during the medieval period to determine the correct times for procedures like bloodletting and the right medications to treat particular ailments. Related to the system of humors, 4 fluids in the body that were connected to both health and individual temperament, the Zodiac Man could be used by doctors to explain illness to patients. The neck, for example, was associated with Taurus and attached to issues of the throat, shoulders, and ears. This sign of the bull was also connected to the humor of black bile, and someone with an excess of this fluid could experience problems like pain in the throat, which we, of course, might associate with acid reflux. So although the Zodiac Man seems strange, one can easily imagine a 16th century person feeling some empowerment at having their own image to consult for advice about aches and pains. What Am I Looking At is provided by KASU in collaboration with the Department of Art and Design at A-State. Stay tuned next week for another exploration of art over your airwaves.